A beautiful one on television one more time, and a very big thank you. I said we are going to be doing a review on security in Nigeria for the year 2022. Perhaps you may want to say that we've had lots of challenges security-wise, and we also understand that the government of the day is now resting on its oars to ensure that they find lasting solutions to some of the security challenges that we have. Well, we are going to be looking at how best ways we can really go through these challenges, because for us as a nation, we do not want these challenges to go into the new year. And let us also see some of the prospects that lies in some of the methodology that the government of the day is employing to handle security challenges in this country. Well, to do justice to all this this morning, we are so privileged to have Honorable Sase Iyiheva. Is a political analyst and also a public affairs analyst. He's from the Federal Polytechnic at Ado-Ekiti. One man that anytime he's in town, he will always ensure that he gives us his time to join us on the program this morning on ITV. So welcome to this program.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers at home.
Okay. And also we have a big brother friend, personal friend to me, talking about Mr. Isaac Asemota. He's a retired DSP, police officer, a security expert. So you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and prosperous New Year ahead.
Okay. Nuruddin Asunoge is an Islamic cleric, a public affairs analyst. So you're welcome to the program this morning on ITV.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
All right, gentlemen, I had to make a background kind of list on some of the security challenges that we have. So I will plead your indulgence so that we go through them, so that it will form better basis on what we're going to be doing here this morning. Now, the year 2022 had witnessed multidimensional security challenges in Nigeria. And of course, we are told that ranging from terrorism in the northeast to armed banditry and farmers-herders clashes in the northwest and north central. And we also understand that separatist agitations in the southeast, kidnapping for ransom, oil thefts, and pipeline vandalism in the south and southwest. And we're told that the first quarter of the year 2022, armed men attacked a train carrying over 300 passengers from Abuja to Kaduna, and of course killing 9 passengers and abducting over 100 passengers. This led to the suspension of the train service on the road for more than 8 months. And also too, in the second quarter of this year, 2022, we understand that the nation's capital, Abuja, witnessed heightened security threats with the attacks of the Kuje Medium Correctional Facility by over 60 armed terrorists. At this same period, suspected terrorists ambushed the convoy of the president's advance team of security guards and protocol and media officers near Dutse Market in Abuja, killing 2 policemen in the process. And 3 weeks later, we understand that Presidential Guard Brigade was also attacked at Buhari area council in Abuja, killing at least 6 soldiers. The terrorists also threatened and abduct President Muhammad. The terrorists also threatened to abduct President Muhammad Buhari and the governor of Kaduna State in the person of Malam El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai. And this increased fears among residents of Abuja. And sooner, we understand that the United States of America and some other foreign nations, the UK, France, and all that, issued a security alert warning its citizens to leave the country. And in the third quarter, we understand that activities of the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network, also known as the ESN, continue to put security challenges in the eastern region of the country. INEC facilities and officials came under attacks. These 2 groups, IPOB and ESN, are the 2 major suspects. And well, nevertheless, the Nigerian authority has not rested in its oars. We understand that Nigerian security agents rose to the challenges, and some successes were made, like the release of some victims of the Kaduna-bound train attack, and also the onslaught against oil pipeline vandals in the south and the calming down of elements in the southeast. These are some of the major achievements that the Nigerian security agents made. Now, gentlemen, we have just gone through some of the major security challenges in the country. And the question that, one thing that we readily see is that there seems not to have been a synergy among security agents in this country. And also, too, there seems to be a lack of accountability in the way security apparatus or security agents go through their security issues. Take, for example, like the U.S. security alert or the Kaduna-bound train attack. Even at the end of the day, when some persons were fingered, were mentioned, there was no accountability. Nobody rose to want to question any person. Nobody brought any person into account on the charge of those, in case of those suspicion. So what is really going on? I'll start with Honorable Osase Ihera. In your own thinking, what do you think is happening security-wise in this country?
Well, thank you very much, Evans. Once again, good morning, viewers at home. From my own perspective, I don't want to say that our security organs have been overwhelmed. Though that is one of the things. The second is the weak power, the body language of people in government. You observe that our government have acted not proactively, but maybe retroactively. You get security reports. There is no way the government does not gather security. You gather security report, this information are before you. If not that, a school of thought believe that the whole security issue started as a business cartel until the people, the powers that be, became even targets before they started to rise to the occasion. Ordinarily, the chief of defense staff, the president, commander-in-chief of army, all of them, all to governors, they have day-to-day security report. I remember when I was even in government, he's a security expert, he knows what I'm talking about. Every government, from the local government chamber to the state governor to other, they are all given security report on daily basis. That is one of the functions of the SSS. Today you see our SSS, is rather than gathering intelligence, they go about arresting people. Oh, when we were growing up in this society, you don't know them. We used to have the NSOs. They will gather information around you. You don't know these people. They gather intelligence and they submit intelligence report. And it is now left for you to act upon these intelligence reports. And I don't want to believe that this information is not within the confines of government. And the reason why they are not acting is between you and I. We don't even know. It is either some persons are too big to be fingered. It's either some persons. Are you not aware in this country that even the international communities reveal the name of those sponsoring terrorism?
Yeah.
What did the government do about it? Who have been held accountable? So I think it's a cartel.
Okay. All right, retired DSP as Isaac Asemuta, you are the retired security agent here. Because some of the reasons that is adduced to the security challenges that we're having in this country is that there seems to be a very glaring lack of accountability in the areas of security dispensation and all that. Now, we have a very clear case at hand now. What just happened on Christmas Day in Lagos, whereby a police officer had to shoot a certain lady. Now, it took more than 48 hours before the Nigerian police force could rise up to the occasion to identify the man that shot that lady. All this boils down to the fact that there seems to be a lack of accountability as it relates to security discharge in the country. What would you want to say to that?
Thank you very much, and once more, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. My brother Evans, the issues of security accountability has been there and it will always be there. Every person who is involved in security knows that he or she has his or her own role to play. Like the issue of this shooting in Lagos state, where somebody was killed before they were arrested. Know that before somebody is sent to a certain area for
for his or her own job, there's a particular place he booked, which is the office. And the moment such a thing happens, they have to go back to office. You wouldn't have actually expected that very minute that this thing happened for the men to have been arrested, because you know the effects or the consequence of killing somebody unlawfully. Any person that does such a thing, the one thing that normally comes to the person's mind is that he should run away. And when that person runs away, it takes time before you get that person arrested. And if the person who did that actual offense was arrested within 1 or 2 days, I have to praise the security operators, because it's not easy to get somebody who has done such a magnitude of an offense to be arrested. That's just one point of it.
Yeah, but why does it seem that this is not the first time we're having this kind of a case? Why does it seem that when we have this kind of a case, it appears the police force or maybe other security agents wants to shield their own? Don't you think so?
No. If any other agency or any other security agency shield their men, that or the police, they don't. But you know, many of the civilians see the police that no, it's a policeman, it's a policewoman, nothing will happen. That is not the truth. The way the internal arrangement of discipline in the police is arranged, you will see that they deal with their co-members than outsider. It is never true that because it's a policeman or a policewoman, any offense is committed is being shielded. Not at all. The police hate themselves more than what you see outside. Don't believe that they love themselves as such. Even like myself as a retired officer, if you even go to any police station or any other place, you introduce yourself as a retired officer, that relationship is not there. Let me just accord it to him that you are welcome, sir, a retired officer. They don't. That love is not actually there. Not to talk of when you have committed offense. They will even help you to even arrest you. So nobody should ever think that if a policeman commits offense, the colleagues are hiding. It's only maybe in the military or maybe those days in 80s when we entered this police. I was in the PMF. Those days they call mobile police kill and go. Maybe when you commit offense, you run to the barracks, nobody will identify you. When you come, your commander might shield you from one way or the other. As at what it happens then. But this time around, the moment you commit an offense, you are arrested. Even your colleague will if you go anywhere and you went to hide yourself, it's your colleague going to bring you out. In a nutshell, police don't shield their colleagues. They don't. I stand to be corrected.
Okay, Nuruddin Asunuge, we are looking at security challenges for the year 2022. That is, on the verge of ending. We saw what happened in the first quarter, whereby armed men, had to attack a train carrying over 300 passengers, and of course, over 100 passengers were abducted, 9 killed instantly, and we also saw how brigade guards were attacked, presidential advance team was attacked and all that. Now, all these attacks did not just happen by accident, so to say. We heard that these terrorists, these attackers gave a proud notice that they were going to do this, and eventually they did it. What do you think is going on? Is it that we don't have security network that rise to an occasion when it matters most, or what do you think is going on?
Well, thank you. The issues are far much more convoluted than we tend to see them when we want to look at them peripherally. There are a whole lot of issues, a whole lot of webs that you will need to break if you must have an appreciation of what is going on. And everybody is connected in all of that is happening to us. Whoever gets involved in crime, for example, let's start from the basis. 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, gets involved in crime. If a 25-year-old person is involved in kidnapping and banditry, remove about 2 decades from that person's age, you are dealing with a child of 5 years. Some 20 years ago, that person was your neighbor growing up. What he ultimately became was already enveloped inside of him. But he was like a clay that could be molded into whatever beautiful portrait you wanted it to be. an attitude of insouciance was what characterized your relationship with that person. And so the person occupied position. I mean, today he is a terror and makes it impossible for you to have a commodious or a life that is placid. Then you find persons who aspire to positions of authority. These are persons who are pathologically liquorish, destitute of the cerebral tool to manage the issue of leadership. And again, they occupy a space where there is a studious emasculation for critical thinking. And so, if you do not think out a problem, how does one solve that problem? You are not likely going to solve the problem. But worse than all of the pictures that we have painted is the absence of patriotism on the part of the citizenry. And I will tell you most frankly, all of the issues we are battling with, whether it's the Boko Haram, whether it's oil theft, whether it is banditry as it then was, I mean, in the northeast, or oil issue, Bokri in the south, they are issues that are fueled externally. They are issues that are fueled externally. I give you one clear example. The OPEC quota for Nigeria per day is 2.2 or so million barrels per day. Yes. We are producing less than 900. At least that is what is officially declared. But what is stolen is in excess of 2 million barrels per day. What 2 million barrels represent is not what all the trucks in Edo, Delta, Ondo can carry in 1 or 2 months. This oil is sold somewhere. It's not sold to ghosts. It's sold at the international market. That in itself is a crime. Who takes the money? Who takes the proceed? In the northeast, part of what had fueled the Boko Haram was the issue of precious minerals that they required there when it started with Muhammad, who eventually got killed. Those who killed Muhammad in order to paper over cracks. Otherwise, yes, at the time you got this person, you needed to take him in and debrief him. But debriefing him, of course, would mean that you were going to expose what needed to be piloted. And so, you eliminate. You come to Zamfara axis. Who are the persons operating there? Whether they are the retired generals, those ones are just plain ancillary role for the international community that is stealing the gold that is in Zamfara. In the south, of course, they provide the arms that are far superior to what your police has, far superior than what your DSS has, far superior than what the military has. And again, you are dealing with a security network. The process that sought to the selection of these persons was not a process that was transparent, was not a process that dealt with competence. It was a process of reward mentality.
Now, when you say, Nuruddin, sorry to interrupt you now. Now, when you say the process that led to the selection of these persons, take, for example, the Chief of Army Staff. I mean, he rose to that position. Perhaps the retired DSP here will tell us better. He rose to that position. And of course, when the time came for him to be selected as...
No, we're not talking about those who you put in charge. Those persons are just... it's like you talk about a palace. What does it symbolize? Monarchy.
Royalty.
And what is the significance of a palace if the monarchy is gone? He will tell you it's not the IG who carries out the operation. He may do the critical thinking, but he requires the footmen to do so. And so if you get the wrong person, no matter how beautiful a vehicle is, for example, or a driver is, for example, if you give a vehicle that does not have an engine, it can't go nowhere. Its expertise in driving comes to naught. So this is the point we are making. We are saying orders have been given. You are aware that the commander-in-chief had asked a retired IGP to go to Benue. He never went. He was never disciplined. He asked those who have been retired and got compensated as ambassadors and all that to go to the theater of war. They never went. And the president will come later to say, hey, I didn't know they didn't go. If there is an infraction of your order, there should be consequences.
Okay, let me pause you there. Now, Honorable Sase Yiheva, I remember the Goodluck Jonathan's administration. The Say Something campaign was launched. And as a matter of fact, it was expected that Nigerians should ensure that anytime they see anything, they should report to appropriate quarter. And good enough, successive governments came and they also had to key into that measure. But as we speak now, that seems to be a thing that has been in oblivion. You even see something, you go to appropriate authority, you say it, no action is taken. Take, for example, some incidents of armed banditry as it relates to headsmen and all that in the south here where we live. Communities, farmers, ordinary farmers in communities, we approach a police station and make reports of, look, our farms have been taken over, and nothing is done. Most times it was reported that the policemen don't even accompany those farmers to go and see for themselves. So what do you think is happening here? And how far can we go in all this?
Well, like the cleric just said, I have heard clearly, the body language of the people in authority. Imagine a situation where the commander gives another, the commander-in-chief gives another, the subordinate refuses to carry out the order. I say, I don't know, they have not carried out my order. The same goes. Today, this present government have come with whistleblower syndrome. This now level say something. What happens to the whistleblowing mechanism that they have brought into place? I remember particularly at a point in time, about 7-8 years ago, or thereabout, I can't remember specifically, a community along Sapele Road between the bypass axis got hold of some herdsmen who were terrorizing the area, who hid their cows somewhere. And immediately they got, some of them escaped. Not too long ago, within 30 minutes of an hour interval, directives came with security operatives coming to release those cows and release those who were ahead. Who gave the directive? How? It simply means that these persons have a network of people who protect them. Like I said, lack of patriotism from all sectors, from the security agencies, from those who are perpetrating the crime, lead to all this. It is not as if these people are not aware. If, like you rightly said, if you go and make a report at the station, it is not as if they are not aware. You will be surprised that those who they will not tell you. They would have had a superior order from somewhere. These are my people, don't touch them. Then you begin to look like a fool. So those are some of the things but a situation where you see every citizen as being equal before the law. I'll tell you today, if we have seen public prosecution of those who have committed crime, who have committed security infractions, there will be a reduction. What do we see? You say you are de-radicalizing people who have been oriented into terrorism. You say you are de-radicalizing them. You are injecting them into your military. My brother, Afghanistan is a child's play when it blows up. That is what we are seeing. Why would you even, those that have been arrested, you say they surrender, take them, give them an appropriate trial. By the time you know that these other persons that are coming into you know that there's nothing about that.
All right. Now, DSP Isaac, retired DSP Isaac Asemota, now, you were in the police force. When an order is given in the force and a junior officer disrespects you, in my own word now, are there no ways that such an officer can be dealt with?
Thank you very much. Seriously speaking, indiscipline is not tolerated in the job. All offenses are spelled out in the police regulation. If a senior officer gives you an instruction, it must have to be obeyed. And that's why you have to obey before you complain. You don't disobey. If, like what they were talking about, now my colleagues were talking about that a certain, a president of a country gives an order to the IGP, a service chief, go and do this and go and do that. You said you are not aware that the other was not carried out. It's funny. This reminds me of, I respect him a lot. It's not my personal friend anyway, but from what I heard from him, I respect him a lot. Navy Commodore Kunle Olusami, he was in intelligence, military intelligence.
Units, yeah.
He spoke a lot about all these things we are saying. That with due respect to my colleagues' religion here, I have no intention of trying to not recognize their religion. But they were saying, that man specifically said, what I'm going to say now is not my brainchild, but it's what that redneck officer, Kunle Olukami, Commodore, said. He said he worked in the military for 35 years, and during his stay in the job, they were able to find out that the people who are destabilizing this country, some of them are in the government, and that we all mentioned, even in some of this, one of these countries in abroad, I don't want to mention, they said they were trying those people who are sponsoring all this terrorism in Nigeria, and about 400 of them were arrested. He specifically said that these people, they are known to the government, and nothing they can do, because the body language of the president will tell them what they are supposed to do and not to do. There are certain offenses that will be committed. You cannot go there and execute it without the direct instruction of the president. So, and he went further to say, that was why I apologize for religion issue just now, that there is an aim of trying to Islamize Nigeria. So there is certain a mindset that they are working towards. So there are, and if you can see, I am not the person saying it is there, it's open to everybody. You can see the appointments of the generals, the people in all these service chiefs, they are from the north, if not particularly from the
but if you say that, I have not been in the force, but I do know that it is when you get to a certain cadre that you get such an appointment. So are you saying that ab initio, before now, perhaps somebody saw it in future, that one day a northerner would become a president, that's also that one day all northerners will have to be in these positions? Is that what we're saying now?
No, no. Is it today that appointment in Nigeria has been one-sided? It's not today. It has been there all along. The truth of the matter is that we are just praying that God will bring somebody who will put Nigeria in the right direction, so that everybody will enjoy the democracy we are trying to enjoy. We know too well, I know too well, even when I was in the force. Somebody I entered the job with at the same time, because he's a northerner, he's promoted ahead of me because of quota system. How do you enjoy the job? Then somebody you enter the same job with, then in some years to come, it becomes your senior. When you are even, there are some you are even senior to. Even when I was an inspector, somebody was a constable, later promoted the ASP, I would be greeting that person. How do you feel? But you have to, you go along, you play along with this, so that you get your job and go away out of it. So this issue of one-sidedness is always, it has been there. It's not today it started.
Okay. All right, Nuruddin, we remember that when this year started, there was a kind of an argument whether to name bandits terrorists. That argument was on for some time, and of course, eventually, the Nigerian authority, the Nigerian government had to own up that bandits now, from henceforth, based on what they are doing, they are now known as terrorists. Even at that, we still have issues that relate to how to actually name a bandit now, that look, you're a terrorist and all that. Now, we also saw the amnesty, amnesty programs that came for terrorists and all that, for bandits, if you like now. Despite all this, how come we've still not found, respite as it relates to security challenges in this country?
Well, thank you. So, I mean, that tells you that it doesn't matter the name you choose to use. The nomenclature is not what is important. If I call you a driver and you feel bad, I say you are a chauffeur, essentially you still do one and the same job. It doesn't matter what the title is. You see, my starting point was that there is a deficit of patriotism at the social space, at the political level, including the deficit of appreciation of what religion is. Katsina State is where the president comes from. 90% of those who are farmers there, and that is basically what they pride themselves in, can't go to the farm. Why can't they go to the farm? Not because Mr. President had brought the vault of the country to the doorstep of everybody from Katsina State, so much so that they don't need to do anything laborious in order to make money. They don't go to farm because they are manacled by fears. Even when they do not get to farm, they are not secured in their homes, tyrannized by this trepidation of the activities of the bandits. And so, how are they beneficiaries of the nativity of Mr. President? How are they beneficiaries of the religion that Mr. President professes? You can begin to see that when arguments like this are thrown up, what they do, and they are studiously orchestrated to alienate empathy that you would have gotten. Because we all are victims. If a mosquito bites me, for example, in the mosque, it does not need a visa to get to the church. And so, both Muslims and Christians must come into agreement to say, we must eliminate mosquito, because it does not need a visa to cross.
Yeah, but Nuruddin, sorry, because if you look at this space, we saw what happened in Owo. I mean, whereby certain people were in a church worshiping, and all of a sudden armed bandits came upon them.
People have gone to mosques too to do that. Whoever did that was not doing it in promotion of religion. This is the point I'm making. And so we must get that clear.
Yeah, but when we begin to have these attacks happening in a certain way.
No, you see, if they happen, you can't even say you have the identity of those who did it. And if I wanted to provoke a crisis between two of you, I will not come out in the open to do that. I will do things and create the impression that I'm doing them on your behalf. I do things to you, create them that I'm doing them on his behalf, so that you begin to see you begin to say, oh, he's my enemy, he's my this, he's my that. So this is the point we are trying to make. We are simply saying here that if anybody does that, he does it in infraction of the very religion, whether he's a Christian or Muslim, that he says he professes. And when you talk about favoritism, and I will tell you, for example, that there are persons who joined the military in the north who got stagnated because they didn't belong. So it is not even the totality of those who are there who benefited. It is for a class. You must belong to that constituency before you become a beneficiary. If you are not, you just will stagnate. You just will stagnate. By the time the likes of Yaradua were two-star general becoming chief of army staff, were there no people from the north who were superior to him, who did not grow? They won't grow. So, they will just do whatever it is that we must. This is our constituency. We must defend this constituency. And we could, if the need arises, go on demographic expansion. And that, of course, we consolidate ultimately to say this is part of us. So we have all of those things happening. And when they happen, what does that point to? If I train my children, for example, this is why I say it is lack of patriotism. If I train my kids and I'm not bothered about my nephews, my nieces, I'm not bothered about my cousins, I'm not bothered about the children who grow in the neighborhood, a time bomb is ticking for the kids that I have trained. If I'm reasonable, it is in my best interest. Or that I have a plantation, for example. I have treated them. My neighbor does not have the capacity to treat his own crops. When I begin to say, hey, take, I am not doing a favor. I have a borehole, for example, and people say, hey, you are extremely generous, you pump water. And I told the kids, I said, we are mutually benefiting. Because the more I pump, the purer the water becomes. And the lifespan. I say, if I become economical, become niggardly, parsimonious with assisting people, they will trek distance. There will be a generation of he will against me, and my whatever would not do well as it would have done well. So you find like washing a dirty cloth. Your hands with which the clothes were washed become cleaner than they were before you started the washing. Who says thank you? So what we have dealt with at all levels, whether it's the local government, whether it's the state level, whether it's the federal level, we have dealt with leadership who are narrow-minded, who are insular, who identify who are my people. And so it's our turn. If you ever were a beneficiary, it may be a reward for psychophancy. Okay. Not because you did critical thinking. So that if we looked at all of these issues, take all of the states, for example, they take what is called security vote. When I was in school, when I was in primary school, in secondary school, we had local government grading roads. When they grade these roads, jobs were created. My mother would supply red sand to local government, not state government, with which roads were graded. I stay in a street where every year, all of us who are there are required to pay 10,000 naira to carry sand. The local government would not bring, and funnily enough, you find that there are people who will be stationed there collecting receipt money from taxi and keke napep, robbing the whatever. All of these are issues that contribute to insecurity. Yeah. Governors take as much as 1 billion naira monthly as security vote. When you talk about security, it is not just fighting crime. It is identifying what are those things that could predispose people to crime and criminality. Okay. And so if you got all of that, say a governor in 8 years, if he stays for 8 years, 1 month he gets 1 billion naira, multiply that, and he uses that to create jobs. But what do? Highly leverage, they peculate, defecate what is the collective patrimony. And when anybody wants to talk, you now begin to say, oh, let's look at what is happening at the center. We say, no. They all are coming from different whatever. Okay. If you tie them together, it is this that creates the larger picture that confronts us.
Okay. All right, viewers out there, the program is still This Morning on ITV, and we are looking at 2022 security review, trying to look at some of the challenges that our country, Nigeria, has gone through, and ways that we can handle some of these challenges. Now, Osase, you have, and I'll come to you. Now, let us look at what some persons describe as external influence, if you want to say now, external ways of looking at security issues in Nigeria. Now, the U.S. security alert, was one thing that perhaps almost threw the nation into anarchy, so to say. I remember some of my relatives in Abuja. Some had to come home that period because the belief was that Abuja was not a place anybody can stay. Abuja was not a safe area anymore. Most especially when the threat was given that the president was going to be abducted. The Kaduna state governor was going to be kidnapped. A lot of people flew away from Abuja and all that. We also had other nations. The UK also gave their security alert and all that. The French country also gave their own. Now, let us look at this idea of external influence, coming into our security space in the country. Perhaps it is only Nigeria that we have this situation. How does this put us, as a nation? Where does it put us? Where does it place us as a nation?
Well, thank you. First and foremost, let us be factual. The United States and UK security alert was not to Nigeria, was to their citizens.
Yeah, but again, it was about Nigeria.
Because let me tell you, sir, I think the thing is, they have come to realize that even security information they share with the authorities in Nigeria are not properly managed, are not handled. So it is better for them to warn their citizens that, look, wherever you are treading, you have to tread softly because there are tendencies of security breaches in these areas. And you will not blame them for, of course, the messages were sent to their embassies and their high commission. And their people took precautionary measures. Rather than the government looking in depth and said, okay, though they have not, instead you started criticizing the information. Well, you know aware, immediately they gave that security away, that the government even came out to debunk a situation that some suspected terrorists were arrested with the aid of foreign security agencies. But they came to debunk it and said no. But it later became the fact That these persons, about 40, 50 persons, were arrested. Even 2 were in one estate. And that was when they started combing the area. They're looking at the external influences. Let me also tell you. Nuruddin said in the course of his discussion that somehow, most of this security we are also saying, Nigeria we must look at the international space. He made mention of the cutting away of the gold in Zamfara, the other mineral resources in the Niger Delta, and others. Let me tell you, I can tell you that international relations experts will tell you that there are invisible hands that are also orchestrating security challenges in Nigeria. What have we done to do that? There was a time when it was trending when an unknown aircraft was taken off from the bush space.
From a certain place.
From a certain place, whether within Zamfara, not at all. Yeah. What was the government's action towards that? So you will find out that a lot of factors are culminating into our security challenges. The external factor is there, and you must be able to up your international politics, international relations politics, to be able to come with this. Take a look, for instance, during the Goodluck Jonathan time, there was an effort by the administration to create a sub-regional security outfit that was able to push the Boko Haram insurgents towards the Chad Basin and dislodge them. But when this government came, the first thing they did was to dismantle that security outfit. That is where people are talking about the body language of Mr. President and some set of persons. Then, all of a sudden, there was an implosion in security challenges. Then, the bandits came. And we are also aware that these bandits, a lot of political actors have come that these same bandits, we brought them in. It was a nationalistic tendency. If you have read Animals Farm, Napoleon groomed some dogs to chase others. But later, when the dogs grew wide, Napoleon could no longer contain them.
Anyway,
also you find out that one way or the other, external influences and our own lackadaisical attitude towards governmental agencies, lackadaisical attitude towards curbing the insecurity challenges in Nigeria have led us to where we are.
Okay. DSP Isaac Asemota, the body language of the president, just like what Honorable Hiyera said now, is somehow to be believed to maybe want to aid. That's the suspicion as some people put it now. Maybe want to be in support of some certain people in some certain parts of the country. But let's come down to the South. In the South here, we also have our own fair share. The president is not from the South, he's from the North. We have armed banditry in the South here. We have kidnapping in the South here. And of course, we also have some forms of terrorism. If you go to the East, you have agitations and all that.
Like you find, if the majority of those at the position of leadership from local to national suffer a deficit of character, then we'll have problem because they are supposed to assist others that are their followers to become decent human beings. Okay. Until and unless we do this, we're in trouble.
All right, now, Mr. Isaac, what do you think should be done quickly?
About what?
About the insecurity in the country.
Okay,
so
fine.
We don't go into
well, let me just specifically speak about the police officer who shot at the lady. The lady.
Yes.
So I want to use this opportunity to advise all police officers in the country that on no account should you cock your gun before or when you are on duty. Because if you look at the commonest weapon we use today is AK-47. It's a gas-operated weapon. At the base of it, you will see the burst, you see the single, and you see the safety. And it doesn't take you 2 seconds to cock. So why must you cock that in case of emergency?
Even in time of emergency?
And not only that, some of the safety pins, they are bad. By the time you think that the one you put in safety is working, it will not work. Before you fire, it fires. So we advise them, and not only that, many of them should not be drunk. There's no doubt that maybe at the time this thing happened, the officer was drunk, or two, they might have a sort of what some people will believe, a sort of family background they don't want, because as I learned, he was having about 33 years in the job, and so maybe
because of time.
home trouble.
All I need to do is that, all I think the government need to do is that they should up their game.
Okay.
We should up our game and let us live as Nigerians, like as I've been advocated.
Okay.
Let patriotism should be our watchword.
All right, gentlemen, I really want to say a very big thank you. One thing that stands clear is that the way security has been managed in this country, you know, it's very questionable. That's the bottom fact and the bottom truth. So we just hope and pray that authorities involved, agencies involved will rise to the occasion, so that we don't have all this in the year 2023. I want to say a very big thank you to Honorable Sase. Please extend the handshake down.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the program this morning on ITV on Independent Television. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.